Telecom company Safaricom posted impressive results indicative of a 19% jump in net income to 38.1 billion shillings, up from 31.8 billion the previous year.
We thought it was a good set of results. We were up on service revenue, we were up about 13% at 177 billion shillings. Our net income was up just over 19% at 38 billion shillings. Dividend is increased from 60 cents per share to 76 cents per share, which is about 90% growth. Really pleased also with EBITDA, or the margin, which came in at 44.6%. That was a growth on last year. Customers at just over 25 million customers, which was a growth of 7.8%. And the couple of metrics which we are really pleased with is that voice continued to grow at 4%. In many markets, voice is on the decline. SMS sneaked in there at 10%, and again, a lot of markets are seeing a decline in SMS. Data up by 43%, and M-Pesa up by 27%. So all in all, we think it was a set of results that we're kind of pleased with, slightly better than we had anticipated at the beginning of the year. And we hope our shareholders are also pleased.
Since M-Pesa servers were brought home to Kenya, the service has experienced zero leakage and boosted growth, and there's more to these numbers than just M-Pesa.
First one is that we have seen a growth in customers. 7.8% growth in customers was quite strong. We've also seen those non-voice revenue streams. So M-Pesa growing, continuing to show strong growth of 27%, we thought was pretty good. And data, we've always said that data growth is going to be the future driver in the future. So if you take the non-voice revenues, it is now just creeping up to 50%. And I think by the time we sit here next year, we will be above 50%. What I would say is that what M-Pesa does is it does give us much more visibility, because the alternative to M-Pesa for a lot of people is not banks, it's actually cash. And M-Pesa gives the regulators and the policymakers the visibility. It formalizes a lot of those transactions. And I would say a lot of our M-Pesa users, I don't want to disagree with John Durrani in this particular issue, but I would say that what we should be doing is encouraging more people to come into this formal sector rather than cash, because cash is the easiest way to avoid the formality of taxation and things like that. But I'm waiting.
Collymore adds that the past year has brought to the fore the disconnect between the service provider and its customers. Reason 6 new regional heads have been charged with the task to bridge this gap.
So we realized that we were disconnected, and there was a growing disconnection from customers. And when I went around the country, I started to understand that the different regions, different areas, had actually quite different needs. And so we broke the country up into 6, Nairobi East, Nairobi West, Nyanza, Western, Rift, Coast, Mount Kenya. Western and Nyanza actually is the same region. And we've got a regional head in each of those areas where they're responsible for network rollout and technology. They're responsible for sales and marketing. They're responsible for the retail shops. And what we found, and we actually put this in place at the beginning of the last financial year, what we found is that by taking that approach, we were able to meet the customer needs much better. We were able to deliver more segmented and a more targeted solution. So in Narok, for example, we had a special tariff for them, which worked for them because their needs are very different to the people on the coast. But importantly, our network coverage improved. We put a lot of focus last year on driving network rollout, add a lot more 2G, a lot more 3G, a lot more 4G, and 2G today is now covering 95% of the population. Now, if we sat in the middle, we would just keep rolling out 3G everywhere. And you have pockets of the country where the disposable income is not going to stretch to a 3G handset or a 4G handset. And so it helped us to make much more informed decisions on network rollout, on marketing, and on CSR.
While mobile data is said to have recorded significant growth, some customers think data pricing remains high. But is this so?
Blended data pricing per MB actually declined by 33%. We've moved more people to in-bundle pricing, and depending on which bundle you're in, you could be paying as little as, I think, about 50 cents per MB. If you're out of bundle, that price can go as high as 4 shillings per MB. So by encouraging more people to be in bundle and by changing the bundle pricing, and for sure, we messed up quite a bit last year. You remember the night bundles and all that stuff, and I think we talked about it at the half year. We messed up quite a bit, we learned quite a lot, and we continue to really fine-tune our data pricing bundles to make sure we deliver value for customers.
Voice revenue grew by 3.9% to 90.8 billion shillings, yet going by some telecom standards, this was flat growth.
Most telecom operators will be surprised with the number that we announced this morning. A 4% growth in voice is astonishing by most standards. Most countries are seeing a decline in voice. We were actually a little bit surprised as we saw growth pick up in the second half and to come out at 4%. So we think it's a very, very respectable growth in voice. And a couple of reasons for that. One is because we're bringing in a lot more customers. 7.8% growth in absolute numbers of customers. But two, the average price in voicing is coming down. If you look at the price between the end of the year and the beginning of the year, you'd have seen that the blended price in voice came down by about 14%, the way we bundle it, etc. So very happy with voice, but also when we look at the non-voice areas, for data to be growing at 43%, number of data customers are growing in 3 figures. Smartphones at 8 million is 128% growth year on year. And we've said, I was saying since I came into this job that we need to diversify into other spaces, not diversify away from voice. So we continue our focus on voice, but by diversifying into mobile money, into focusing on data, into continuing our focus on SMS. Another interesting growth, 10%, a lot of markets will tell you that they're seeing a decline in SMS, not a growth.
And to sum it up, I asked Safaricom's Chief Executive Officer Bob Collymore on the recent revelation on South Africa's Vodacom discontinuing M-Pesa on its platform beginning July this year. Safaricom's CEO was selfish with his response.
I can only talk about our market because I used to live in South Africa. I don't live there anymore. So I'm not sure why it didn't work. And I think they're probably about to announce their results, so you can probably go and ask them. I mean, I saw the press release like you did. I know M-Pesa is thriving in Tanzania. It's doing very, very well. In fact, we have some of our people working with Ian, the MD over there, to support him, seeing very good growth. Ian was over here learning from us and some of the stuff we're doing. So I think that in East Africa it's working well. And in some other markets where it's recently been launched, I think we're seeing reasonable performance.
Joy Doreen Bira, Captains of Industry.